This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Okmade and this is Africa Now. Ugandan opposition leader and musician Bobi Wine says his newly song entitled Ogenda, a Ugandan word that loosely translates as "you will fall," is made directly for the sitting president's ears, who he said has turned back on his word to bring democracy to the country. In Ogenda, Bobi Wine accuses President Yoweri Museveni of abuse of power since he ascended to the highest office in January of 1986. He says the president's government has overseen worse human rights abuses than the leaders it forced to oust. Systemic corruption was pointed to South Africa's former President Jacob Zuma's 9-year tenure in the first part of a report published on Tuesday by Corruption Inquiry after more than 3 years of investigations involving more than 300 witnesses. Zuma is accused of allowing businessmen and brothers of the Gupta family to loot state resources and influence policy. The Guptas denied any wrongdoing. Zuma also denied any wrongdoing and refused to cooperate with the inquiry, leading to his imprisonment in July for contempt of court. Tunisia's powerful UGTT union criticized on Tuesday the president's roadmap out of political crisis, saying it does not break with individual rule and exclusion. President Kais Saied said last month he would call a constitutional referendum in July, a year to the day after he seized broad powers, and that parliamentary elections would follow at the end of 2022. It adds that the online consultation suggested by Saied may lead to a monopoly of power and the abolition of the opposition. Now, security forces fired tear gas to disperse large crowds demonstrating against military rule and recent protesters' deaths across Sudanese capital Khartoum and neighboring cities on Tuesday. The demonstrations, which is the 13th round of protest since a military coup on October 25, comes 2 days after the resignation of Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, who was reinstated on November 21 in an agreement with the military. Doctors at the Ada Referral Hospital in the regional capital Mekele, which is under the control of Tigrayan forces fighting the central government, said signing death certificates has become their primary job. The doctors identified the 117 deaths and dozens of complications, including infections, amputations, and kidney failure, which they said were linked to shortages of essential medicines and equipment. That is largely the result of a month-long government aid blockade on the northern region of Ethiopia. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You're watching Africa Now. More stories coming your way after the break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan told of some top officials who have been criticizing her government for taking loans from international bodies. In a televised address from State House, she says foreign aid was helping her government fulfill its social and development agenda. Niger has temporarily suspended an order to expel 8 high-profile Rwandans relocated there from Tanzania, allowing them to remain in the country for 30 days pending a resolution. They were political and military officials during the 1994 Rwandan genocide and had either been acquitted or released after serving their prison terms. They relocated to Niger after the government there cut a deal with the United Nations in November to grant them permanent resident status, with Rwanda later saying it had been kept in the dark. Now, Omicron coronavirus variant high transmissibility means it will become dominant within weeks in many places, posing a threat in countries where a high portion of the population remains unvaccinated, says a World Health Organization official on Tuesday. WHO Incident Manager Abdi Mahamoud, speaking to Geneva-based journalists, says it could be good news. More evidence is emerging that the variant is affecting the upper respiratory tract and causing more milder symptoms than previous variants. And in sports, there are threats by armed Anglophone separatists to disrupt the 2021 African Cup of Nations, which is expected to open in Cameroon on Sunday. Some armed groups have vowed to disrupt the competition and send threatening letters to the teams in Group F, which include Tunisia, Mali, Mauritania, and Gambia, who will play in Limbe at Training View. The government has deployed heavily armed soldiers on almost all the intersections of View and Limbe in particular. Still in sports, Sierra Leone coach John Kester says he received death threats prior to naming his squad for the African Cup of Nations. The 51-year-old received 2 threats regarding the inclusion of certain players a day before announcing his 28-man squad and reported them to the police in the West African country. And that is Africa Now. For more updates, do visit our website at www.TOSTVNetwork.com. Follow us and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Okwade. Thanks for watching.